In this tutorial, we'll show you how you can set up your own website domain to work with your PhotoMerchant website using the custom domain wizard. Let's get started. To get to the domain name wizard, click on Website, then Settings, and scroll down the page to the custom domain name panel. Clicking the Start Domain Name Wizard brings up the first step in the process. You'll need to have the login details from your domain name registrar, which is the company you use to purchase your website domain from. If you haven't actually bought your domain yet, you'll need to go and do that before continuing any further. Enter the domain or subdomain you plan to use. Once you've added the domain name, you then need to add the appropriate extension from the menu. That could be a .com, a .net, or a .com.au. The next step is to validate you actually own the domain name that you've entered. There are two ways to validate your domain. We recommend using the DNS method, as it's easily the simplest to use and generally gets the best result. For this tutorial, I'm going to use the DNS method and then click Next. In this step, we're going to create a specific CNAME record that will point to the PhotoMerchant validation server. Log into the website that manages your domain name so that you can edit your details. I'm going to use GoDaddy in this example. In this instance, the settings I need to edit are called Total DNS Control. I'm going to add a new CNAME record, and as you can see, it's asking for an alias name and a host name. So switching back to the wizard, I'm going to copy the unique 11-digit verification code and then switch back to GoDaddy and enter it into the alias name. Now I need to find the host name, so I'll switch back to the wizard and copy domainverified.photomerchant.net and paste it back into the host name field. In the TTL drop-down box, select the quickest option, preferably half an hour, but it may also be listed as 1800 seconds. Click OK or Save, and you should now have a new CNAME record with your unique verification code. Now go back to the wizard and click Next. Now we have to confirm that everything we just entered was done correctly. So click the Validate My Domain link. Now you may see a message that says could not validate the domain you entered. This is because your DNS settings can take up to 24 hours to update all around the world. In most cases, you should be able to validate within an hour, but if you've only just purchased the domain in the last few hours, it's probably going to take a little bit longer. Check that the settings are correct, and if they are, close the wizard and try again in another hour or so. The wizard will remember exactly where you are when you return. Okay, so let's try and validate the domain again. Open the wizard and click Next, Next, and then click Validate My Domain link. Great. So as you can see, PhotoMerchant has successfully validated my domain. Now I just need to make one more change and the wizard will be complete. So click Next. The last thing I do is to change the A host record so that it points to the PhotoMerchant IP address. Copy the IP address and then switch back to your domain registrar accounts page. So I click on the edit icon and I change the IP address to the PhotoMerchant IP address of 174.129.194.16. I press OK, and now all the hard work is done. Switching back to the wizard, I click Next, and there are optional instructions for pointing other domain references to PhotoMerchant, but for now I've got everything that I need, so I press Next and the wizard is now complete. To see if your website domain is working, type it into your browser and see if your new site loads. It can take up to 48 hours, but as you can see, the update I just made was instantaneous. If after a couple of days you're still having problems getting your domain working, you may need to contact your domain registrar to make changes for you. They'll have to log into your system and physically make those changes. Alternatively, try the file upload method if you have an existing web service, or check the PhotoMerchant forums for some technical support. Thanks for your time, and thanks for choosing PhotoMerchant.